It started like any other late-night show. The lights were bright, the band was playing, and the audience was buzzing with anticipation. Jimmy Kimmel had teased the night's big guest during the opening monologue, saying they had someone whose career has inspired millions, whose intelligence has reshaped how Hollywood views its stars, and who might just surprise us tonight. Everyone knew he was talking about Emma Watson. When she finally stepped onto the stage, the crowd erupted. Emma smiled politely, waving as she walked across to sit opposite Jimmy. She was wearing a simple but elegant black dress, nothing flashy, perfectly in line with her understated style. For the first few minutes, everything seemed normal. They joked about her travels, her fashion choices, and her time balancing acting with activism. But slowly, the conversation shifted. Jimmy, known for mixing humor with pointed questions, brought up her role as Hermione Granger. "You'll never really escape Harry Potter, will you?" he asked with a grin. The audience laughed. Emma chuckled politely but shifted in her seat. "I've made peace with that," she said. "It's a part of my life I'll always be grateful for, but it doesn't define me anymore." Jimmy smirked. "But come on, when people see you in the street, they don't say, 'Oh look, it's Emma Watson the activist,' they say, 'It's Hermione.' Doesn't that sting a little?" The crowd laughed again, but Emma didn't. Her smile tightened. "I think people are more complex than the labels we give them," she replied calmly. That should have been the end of it, but Jimmy kept pressing. He shifted gears to her activism, her speeches on gender equality, and her work with the United Nations. At first, the questions were respectful. But then he leaned in with one that struck a nerve. "Some critics say you only got that platform because you were famous first. Do you ever think you're more of a celebrity pretending to be an activist rather than a real activist?" The air in the studio grew tense. Emma's eyes narrowed slightly, but she stayed composed. "I don't think it matters how someone comes to a cause, only what they do once they're there. I've worked for years on these issues, and I take them very seriously." Jimmy grinned, sensing the tension. "But isn't it a little convenient? You're Hollywood royalty, you've made millions from movies, and then you stand on a stage and tell people about privilege. Some folks might call that hypocrisy." The audience reacted with a mix of laughter and gasps. Emma's posture straightened, her voice sharpened. "What's hypocritical is dismissing people who use their platform to create change simply because they had success before. I don't apologize for the opportunities I've had, but I do feel responsible for using them for good." Jimmy raised his eyebrows. "But don't you think some people see it as performative? Like when celebrities make speeches and everyone claps, but then they go back to their mansions." That was the breaking point. Emma leaned forward, her voice steady but firm. "If you want to have a real conversation about gender inequality, about poverty, about privilege, I'll have that with you. But if all you want to do is reduce it to a late-night punchline, then maybe I shouldn't be here." The audience went silent. Jimmy, caught off guard, tried to pivot back to humor. "Hey, I'm just asking the questions people at home are thinking." Emma didn't smile. She shook her head, removed her microphone, and said clearly, "No, you're not. You're asking the questions that make people comfortable with ignoring real problems." Then she stood up. The audience gasped as Emma walked off stage. Producers scrambled. Jimmy called after her with a nervous laugh, but she didn't turn back. The cameras caught every second. Within moments, the show cut to commercial, leaving viewers stunned. By the next morning, the clip was everywhere. Social media exploded. Hashtags like #EmmaWalksOut and #KimmelClash trended worldwide. Some fans praised her for standing her ground, calling it the interview that shook Hollywood. Others criticized her, accusing her of being too sensitive, of not being able to handle tough questions. Talk shows replayed the footage, analysts debated who was in the wrong, and newspapers wrote think pieces about the incident. Some argued that Emma had exposed the shallow way late-night television treats serious issues. Others claimed she had overreacted and missed an opportunity to defend her activism calmly. Jimmy eventually addressed the controversy in a later episode. He said he hadn't meant to offend Emma, that his job was to ask provocative questions, and that he hoped she would come back one day. But by then, the damage had been done. The walkout overshadowed the rest of the show and became one of the most talked about TV moments of the year. Emma, for her part, released a short statement through her publicist. "I believe in honest conversations, not soundbites. I stand by what I said. She didn't go on any shows for weeks afterward, fueling speculation that she was done with late-night television altogether. In Hollywood, reactions were divided. Some actors quietly applauded her courage, saying they too were tired of being